Hi, this is Anika from Living for Later, and I am here to share some exciting news with you. I know you've perhaps you've heard it before, but today I just really want you to take some time to let it really sink in and consider the implications behind the news that I'm going to share. And that news is that you were called before you were born. I was reading in Jeremiah 1, and when God was calling Jeremiah, and he says, "Listen, Jeremiah, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. I had a purpose for you. I called you to be a prophet to the nations." And perhaps your calling is not the same as Jeremiah's, but all of us have a calling. All of us were created with a purpose. And sometimes I think we go through life and we take that for granted, or we forget totally. We run after our own purpose, or we take on the purpose that somebody else has assigned to us. And we don't really stop to ask God, when you were creating me, before I was even created, what did you have in mind for me? What is it that you have called me to? And I think that when you understand that God has a specific purpose, it's your business to run after that purpose. It's not about pleasing others or doing what you think you're good at. It's about doing what you were created to do. So I just want to encourage you to walk with your head hung up high, and walk in such a way where you recognize that you are called. And for me, I recognize that my calling comes from God and not from man. So when I recognize that my calling comes from God and not from man, I shift my focus. I'm learning to shift my focus to be pleasing to God. I've struggled for a good portion of my life with just trying to please others, trying to be good enough, and not recognizing that I had the wrong focus. My focus was on pleasing those that didn't create me, pleasing those that didn't call me, right? And something has just really shifted in my spirit where I recognize, God, you're the one who has called me. You're the one that has given me purpose. So I should focus on pleasing you and you alone. And what I also recognize is sometimes we hear our purpose and it may not be what we want it to be. Like, Jeremiah, he gave God some rebuttal. God, I'm too young, I'm but a youth. And God is like, listen, no excuses. I'll put my words into your mouth. So whatever it is that God has called you to, be done with the excuses. And if it's not something that you want to do, get over yourself. Because here's the thing that I recognize, that you can't truly be successful, you can't truly feel fulfilled unless you're doing what it is that you were created to do. Don't try to go to the beat of everybody else's drum and trying to keep up with everybody else, and trying to be defined by everyone else. Stand up and be who God has called you to be, and pursue your purpose. And I also want to say, don't toss it to the side, because sometimes we find out our purpose and we have a sense and we get excited, and and I know this personally, where you get excited, you may get a prophetic word and you're like, yes, God, you called me to this, or yes, God, I'm going to do what you've called me to do. And then with time, that excitement wanes, or we lose sight of what it is that God has called us to, or we allow others to discourage us, life circumstances, words that are spoken over us. But today I just want to speak life back into you, and just tell you that if you do know your purpose and you've put it to the side, repent and ask God to give you the right focus to pursue him, and to walk in such a way where you're pleasing to him, fulfilling your purpose. Again, I just want to encourage you to remember that you were called before you were born. Be blessed.